Guadalajara Tower, Airwind Laces 501, 11 miles southeast, inbound ILS Zulu runway 29er left approach.
Airwind Laces 501, Guadalajara Tower. Altimeter 3018, cleared ILS Zulu runway 29er left approach.
Cleared ILS Zulu runway 29er left approach, Airwind Laces 501.
Airwind Laces 501, wind 084 at 6, cleared to land runway 29er left.
Cleared to land runway 29er left, Airwind Laces 501.
Airwind Laces 501, exit runway when able. Airwind Laces 501, turn next taxiway. Laces 501, turn next taxiway. Airline Laces 501, contact ground on 121.9er.
One two one decimal niner, Airwind Laces 501.
$264 nautical miles to go. A little under 2 hours to do it in with a touch and go. Something around 140 to 150-ish knots cruising speed. We'll give you plenty of airspeed to get to our destination in Mexico City before the stream ends. So that's our flight for today. Sadly, as you can see, I'm all alone, except with all of you wonderful viewers in the chat. No guest host on the stream today. A lot of our regular co-hosts are either traveling, heading to Flight Sim Expo next week. We'll talk all about that later on in the stream. So we will get started here. Start flight, we'll spawn in and get underway. And do let me know in the chat if the music is at a level. Obviously, I can't hear what you're hearing. So if you need me to turn the music up or down, let me know. All right, here we go. Reset position on my DVI tracker. We'll put a cruise altitude. Uh-oh, I got a big airliner right on top of me or something. Look at this. Let's disable the parking brake and taxis behind me. Another aircraft on top of me. All right, there we go. All right, parking brake back on. Change our DDI course to the GPS. Follow the into line, not a VOR green line. And we are at, we're at 5,000 feet already on the ground here. So let's put our autopilot 7,500. Not 9,000. Overshot that a little bit. There we go, 7,500. That's good to go. Parking brake is off once again. Full throttle is engaged.
Bayou 11, continue for east
We
departure.
are rolling and underway for Community Time Friday Football Fever Edition as we make our way to Mexico City. Right. Rotate, positive rate. Take a look behind. Look at all you wonderful people taking off behind us. Once again, if you are watching the stream, Shark Fly, that will give you all the instructions you need if you want to join us.
Bayou 11, did you hear my last transmission? Bayou 11,
Looks like I made a
my
mistake. I took
airspace.
off from the wrong
Frequency
direction.
change
I'm going to make a
approved.
180-degree turn here to our course, heading towards Mexico City. Little nav map says 13,500 is the minimum gateway. Well, we'll climb later as we need to. For now, we'll just 1,500. But yes, Guadalajara, where we're departing from today. One of the
Bayou 11, did you copy?
Mexico match coming FIFA World Cup. This is a tri-country.
Guadalajara Tower, Bayou
I
11,
believe
frequency
they've only been
change.
happened once before, where more than one country hosted the World Cup. Back in 2002, Japan and South Korea they hosted the World Cup together. And then this year, 2026, will be Canada, the United States, and Mexico. All North America World Cup for host cities. And in Mexico, we're flying today, it will be, of course, Mexico City, where the opening ceremonies and match take place next week. Also Guadalajara, where we're taking off from right now. And then Monterrey, which we won't be visiting on our flight that night. It's a little too far to get to both Guadalajara, Mexico City, and Monterrey. That will be the other Mexican city that'll be hosting matches. In my country, Canada, it'll be Toronto, Edmonton, and Vancouver that are the host cities for matches. And of course, I live in Vancouver, so already I'm seeing a lot of the preparation for that. A lot of like fan zones are going up, fenced off areas. We're getting like news alerts about all the security, like extra security and stuff. And you know what? I'm already at 8,500. Just climbed in 9,500 then. Yeah, we're getting notices of our local public transportation is running like extra long hours and stuff for the duration of the World Cup. So a lot happening here in Vancouver, where I live, in relation to the event. And in the United States, which is the third country that is hosting World Cup matches, it's actually too many cities to list. I can't name them all. We believe the final match, when chat correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the final match of the World Cup is in Los Angeles. Is that correct, chat? Waiting for someone to verify that information. It's in New Jersey. Oh, at the NFL Meadowlands. Yeah, the home of the New York Giants. Or is it the Jets? I can't remember. Both the Jets and the Giants, despite being New York teams, play in New York. I think it's kind of funny. All right, autopilot is engaged. We're at 9,500. Autopilot, of course, head on a east-southeasterly heading towards Mexico City. Is it the first U.S. match is in Los Angeles? They're doing like an opening ceremony. So they're doing 3 opening ceremonies. Of course, the first one is in Mexico City next week. That's where the first match is taking place between Mexico and South Africa. But then both Canada and the United States are also doing their own opening ceremonies. The Canadian one is in Toronto, and I think the U.S. one is in Los Angeles. But someone in chat, let me know if that's correct or not. Gillette said even Foxborough, Massachusetts will host 7 World Cup matches, including 5 group stage ones, a round of 32, and a quarterfinal. Yeah, I mentioned some of the security bulletins most residents here in Vancouver receiving from the government. They said that. Oh, sorry about that, JP. The bot got a little bit overzealous there. I've removed the automatic. Yeah, some of the news alerts we've been getting about the extra security precautions that are in Vancouver for the upcoming matches. They said that FIFA officials will receive the same level of security that a visiting world leader would receive, like a president or prime minister of another country, which they said is the second highest level available. The highest level available is reserved for the Pope, which I thought that was kind of funny. But the Pope would get even more security than, say, the President of the United States visiting Vancouver. I was amused by that. Forgot you have a cat in your right seat. DB Flying High, same here. They're going crazy with the security. Yeah. I think it'll be fun, though. I'm looking forward. I was not living in Vancouver 16 years ago when this city hosted the Winter Olympic Games in 2010. I know that was a really big deal. A lot of people talking about how cool that was. So I'm excited to be living in a city where the World Cup match takes place. Shockingly, despite not being a very good football/soccer playing country, at least the prognosticators before the tournament, they're actually expecting Canada will make it out of the group stage. We're in a pretty weak group, I would say. Canada's with Switzerland, who are stronger than Canada, Qatar, and Bosnia-Herzegovina. And so there's saying Canada and Switzerland, they're expected to emerge from that group. Chat, let me know who's your country, who you're repping, and how do you expect what your country's going to do in the upcoming World Cup. A commentator, you're not too excited since Italy wasn't able to qualify. You know, it's always hard for the European teams. Only so many spots, and you're going to get some really strong teams. Italy who didn't make it. We got Germany, Norway, Scotland. Yeah, Scotland's back for the first time in a while. We got a spot this year. England, USA, Sweden. Repping Croatia. Or JP Flying High says, is soccer a thing? Okay, let me tell you. Anytime someone calls sport association football soccer, you get a bunch of people that get irate and they're like, it's not soccer, it's football. And it is most often people from England, in my experience, that get angry about calling it soccer. Let me tell you a little bit of history. It was the English themselves who coined the term soccer. It is not the rest of the world. It was English people that came up with that word. So what happened? We're talking over 100 years ago now. There was a sport called association football. And this was, codified. I'm sure you know the history of this. 11 players per side, all the rules associated with that. However, there were also other sports that were called football. And in England, there's another really popular sport called rugby football. And so English people like to use slang a lot of the times. So to distinguish between rugby football and association football, they called them rugger, for short, for rugby, and soccer, for short for association. And then gradually over time, a soccer, they dropped grouping A, and it just became soccer. So if you're going to get upset that there are people that call association football soccer, it is actually the English themselves that coined that term. So there you go. Now, but you're not going to correct me if I say dangerous English. The English coined the name soccer, but they did. Look it up. They did. Short for first it became a soccer, which was short for association football, and then over time the leading A got removed and it became just soccer. Hello, Ronan Crisis. Nice to see you. Coverage said you're from Sweden. If we move on from the group, you would be surprised. You have Tunisia, Netherlands, and Japan. That is a tough group. So every year when they do the draw, there's always one group that is the group of death. Chat, what's the group of death this year? I mean, this group sounds pretty tough with Tunisia, Netherlands, and Japan. What are some other groups that are pretty tough? I think my country, Canada, I think we're in a pretty easy group. Especially, with experts saying Canada is expected to advance. That's unheard of. Canada's only ever qualified for the World Cup twice before. Once in 1986, and then once the most recent one in 2022. Canada has never won a match. We're 0-6 group World Cup final. So the fact that people are predicting that Canada will actually advance at the group stage here shows you just how easy and lucky Canada got with our group draw. England just reserved a cell in the tower, that was assuming the Tower of London, for stating accurate historical facts being thrown into the Tower of London. We are flying over some really pretty Mexican countryside here as we make our way away from Guadalajara and en route to our first go. Very pretty lake here to my right-hand side of my aircraft. And once again, if you are watching our stream today and you'd like to fly with us as we celebrate the upcoming World Cup, which is starting in MeXico next week, that exclamation mark fly in the chat. We'll give you all the instructions you need to join our group for today. Doesn't matter if you're on PC, Xbox, PlayStation 5, Xbox Cloud Gaming, NVIDIA GeForce Now, no matter how you're playing later. Even if you're on Flight Sim 2020 or Flight Sim 2024, it does not matter your version or your platform or your skill level. Join our group like today and take part in our flight. How do you switch planes while flying? So, officially you can. Unofficially, if you enable dev mode, there is a command that allows you to do that. But generally speaking, you can't do that without developer mode turned off. Go back to the world map and choose a new plane. Udufus, this is Lago Chipada. I pronounced that correctly. I took 1 year of Spanish as a university student 20 years ago, or 25 years ago, in fact. Right? So my Spanish pronunciation is not the best. Also, the Spanish pronunciation in Spain is actually a bit different than the Spanish pronunciation in Latin American countries that speak Spanish as a different language. So if you have someone from Mexico and someone from Spain, both, they would be able to understand each other, but they have a very distinct dialect and accents. Will you eat Mexican food today? Absolutely, we're having Mexican food after our flying Friday today. So I don't know if this is true or not. I've heard, on the subject of difference in pronunciation between Latin American Spanish and Spain Spanish. The Latin American variant sounds more similar to what Spanish sounded like, like 500 years ago during the age of European colonization, when Spain was colonized of Central and South America and importing their language. Meanwhile, the Spanish language in Spain evolved over time, and they pronounced a lot of words differently. Like the city of Barcelona, for example, in Spain, they would pronounce that Barcelona. And the rumor I heard, I don't know, someone in chat can confirm if this is true or not. The rumor I heard was that the King of Spain, back hundreds of years ago, had a speech impediment, spoke with a lisp. Instead of being able to say Barcelona, the king pronounced it Barcelona. And so the high class, people in the royal court want to imitate the way that the king say words. Then they adopted that same speech pattern. And then, because all the high class people were that way, that then filtered down to the rest of the country because everyone wanted to mimic the way the royal court were speaking. That's the rumor I've heard. I don't know. Is someone playing chat? Can you confirm if that's true or not? That's where the divergence between Spanish in Spain differs from Spanish in Latin America. Sarah says Colombian Spanish is the cleanest usually. I hear a fast jet. There it is. There is the Boom XB1 being put. Taking a supersonic jet might be a bit of an overkill for our flight. Rob Orbs debunked that myth. Yeah, I didn't know if that was true or not. But I thought mine, always confirm the accuracy of these things. So I wonder what's the real reason then? Why did Spain Spanish evolve over the last 500 years to be different from Latin American Spanish? In Spain, the C sounds like Zulu. In most Hispanic America, this sounds like Sierra. All right, how are we doing in terms of progress? We are 95 nautical miles. Our first touch and go, which is, I love this airport code. Mike. Looks like a delicious airport, right? There we go. I think they have delicious Mexican food at Mike. Wrote a song for that airport. Really? New spawns. The Crash Test Dummies song, yes. Is the Crash Test Dummies, are they a Canadian band? I think they might be like half Canadian, half American. I'm not 100% sure on that one. I think at least one of their members is Canadian, but I don't think the whole band is. One in You're flying a Chinook today. Cool, I'll have to see some rotary wing pilots on our fly-ins. Last weekend there was an air show in your country. You saw a Eurofighter Typhoon, and it was so loud it was shaking with my lungs. Yeah, isn't it cool to see, military fighter jets performing at air shows? You don't appreciate just how loud they are until you actually hear one up close. That was another news alert I got today, actually. There's going to be fighter jets patrolling the airspace over Vancouver all the World Cup security. They did say, though, that they'd be at such an altitude, they'd be high enough up that, on the ground. All right, well, chat. Next week is not just the start of the World Cup, it's also MSFS in St. Paul, Minnesota, in the United States, North America's largest gathering of some enthusiasts, flight developers, hardware manufacturers, all the companies that make peripherals we know and love, all the add-on developers, they're all going to be there. That starts next week. Microsoft Flight Simulator team will be there. I'm going to be there. Jane will be there. Chicken will be there. Lord will be there. Lots of other members who you don't see on camera. They're going to be there as well. So, hoping to see a lot of you in person. And you may have seen, we announced yesterday, we got a pretty special event coming up. In addition to the usual, we're doing our booth convention tour, where you can come and try Microsoft Flight Simulator with some great hardware peripherals. We're partnering with fantastic hardware companies like Moza, like Pi, like Wind Control. PCs by MSI, we got some pretty high-end PCs that'll be on our booth, powering all our setups. So we got some hardware for you to try at our booth. We're also doing something else on Saturday next week. So a week from tomorrow, 8 days from now. My audio breaking up? Let me know in the chat. My audio. Checking my OBS. It says 0 dropped frames, which should be fine on my end. Oh, okay. Let's just be on your end, response. Everyone else is. Oh no, Mr. Pierce is picking up for him too. Okay, some people are seeing it, some people aren't. It might just be the stream to your location between Twitch servers where you are. Anyways, on Saturday, 8 days from now, on the FS Elite stage at Flight Sim Expo, we will be hosting a Red Bull Air Race tournament live in Microsoft Flight Simulator, Red Bull Air Race mode. We have got 4 of your favorite content creators from Twitch and YouTube. We've got Blue Games, we've got Mustafa, we've got Nick Flight X, and we have got Two-Tone Murphy. 4 of your favorite streamers and content creators. And then additionally, there will also be 2 challengers from the community. Anyone who is at Flight Sim Expo in St. Paul in person, all day Saturday until 3 p.m., you can come to the Microsoft Flight Simulator booth. You can sit down at our challenge station, where we will have a Red Bull Air Race setup running, and you can try to set your best qualifying time. We will take the top 2 times of the day, and those 2 people will also qualify to join us on the FS Elite stage at Flight Sim Expo for a Red Bull Air Race tournament, where it could be any of you if you're there in St. Paul next week. It could be one of you. We get to come up on the FS Elite stage and take on Blue Games, Mustafa, Nick Flight X, and Two-Tone Murphy. It's 2 challengers to the community. And we'll be doing a Red Bull Air Race tournament. We've got fabulous prizes, flight sim peripherals provided by Moza. So it's obviously, chat between us, we know best prize of all is satisfaction and pride you get from victory and defeating your opponent. Nothing is better than that. But if you want a physical prize as well to go along with the emotional prize of the satisfaction you get from winning, we do have some great hardware being provided by Moza as well. So if you are at Flight Sim Expo in Guam, Minnesota next week. Stop by the Flight Sim booth. Try to set your best time. I'll let you know in advance. You can practice. We want you to practice before you show up. Here's what you got to do. Qualifying. So if you want to make it to the main stage, take place on the Abu Dhabi course. So the Red Bull Air Race mode has 6 different race courses you can try. One of them is Abu Dhabi. That'll be the one that we're using to qualify. So if you want to practice at home, practice a lot on Abu Dhabi, and it's going to be on the intermediate difficulty setting. So Abu Dhabi intermediate setting. That's what you want to practice at home. The 2 community challengers, if you make it to the main stage, you get an automatic bye in the final round. So round 1, we're going to have Blue Games versus Nick Flight X. And then we're going to have the bracket. We're going to have Mustafa against Tone Murphy. So in the first round, the quarterfinals, those 4 people will be taking their races on the Budapest court. The winner, the fastest time from each of those 2 matchups, will advance to the next round, where they will take on one of our community top qualifiers, the booth. Then the next round will also be on the Abu Dhabi course, the same one you've been practicing, and the same one you used to qualify. And then again, the 2 winners from each of those final matches will advance to grand final, and the grand final will take place on the Spielberg. All of this will be on intermediate difficulty setting. So if you're at home and you want to practice and you want to set your best qualifying time, you can make it to the main stage event, the FS Elite stage on Saturday. You're going to want to practice Abu Dhabi. You're going to want to practice Spielberg. Both of those on the intermediate difficulty. So that's the information you need. In terms of the race assist options, it's up to you whether you want to enable them or disable them, on or off. You have to rule around that. Your personal preference, whatever you like the best. That's the rules. Abu Dhabi, Spielberg, intermediate difficulty. This is on or off to your taste. So, go ahead and practice that. Try to set your best qualifying time at the Microsoft booth Saturday at FS Expo between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Minnesota time. And the top 2 players from the community will qualify for one of those finalist spots on the FS Elite stage. I bet you've been training for weeks. I'm not competing new spots. I'm the stage host. So it's going to be me and Chewy. I'm the stage host. Chewy is our play-by-play commentator. So we will not be competing. It will be those 4 creators from Twitch and YouTube that we mentioned. Blue Games, Mustafa, Nick Flight X, and 2-Tone Murphy. And then 2 challengers from the community. Anyone who is at Flight Sim Expo, any attendee, is eligible to sign up and try to qualify. He's pretty good at the Red Bull challenges. I've seen it with my own eyes. I used to have the world record. I don't anymore, but I used to have the world record on the Rio course, and I think expert difficulty. And I had a top 10 time on the Spielberg course on True to Life. But yeah, I don't think I have either of those anymore. The community taking me, but yeah, I was pretty decent at Red Bull Air, at least for a while. So anyways, that's the spiel for Flight Sim Expo next week. That's the question in the chat. Will it be streamed online? Yes, it will be streamed online. If you're not at the FS Elite stage, if you're not watching live in the audience, you can still tune in and see this fantastic event. It will be simultaneously broadcast, right here on this very channel, MSFS Official, on starting at 4 p.m. Minnesota time next Saturday. I'm not sure what the UTC option is for that. If someone can look that up in chat, what is 4 p.m. in Minnesota UTC? And then it'll also be simultaneously broadcast on the FS Elite YouTube channel. Either one of those, right here on this channel, Twitch MSFS channel, or YouTube FS Elite channel. Two options, watching that online. And of course, if you are at in person, come to the FS Elite stage on Saturday at 4 p.m. Okay, I just unmuted my stream. I'm not hearing any copy audio at all. I think maybe it just might be with our ISP and the Twitch server. So some of you are saying it aren't. I think it's probably where you are in the world. There might be some network congestion between your local ISP and the server. I just unmuted myself. I'm hearing myself talking. Okay, Minnesota is 5 hours behind Zulu. So okay, Zulu, particular Minnesota time, that would be 2300 UTC Zulu time. The video from the game is 25 frames per second. So it's actually 30. We have 30. You can look at my frame rate monitor. My monitor is running at 25 frames per second. But on Twitch, we downscale at 30 frames per second just for the podcast. Or what I'm seeing on my screen is what you're seeing. So the gameplay on Twitch is downscaled. I assume there will be no community flying next Friday. That is correct. The entire team will be, including me, will be in Minneapolis to call. Or on Friday, we'll be frantically setting up our booth behind the scenes at one of these events before, on the convention before. All the exhibitors get access to the area like a day or two in advance. And so much work that goes in. Everyone who has a booth at one of these events, a lot of time in advance before the doors open to the public, setting up the recruiting area. So that's what I will be doing this time next week on Friday. I'll be very hard at work with Microsoft Flight team, putting our booth together for when the convention floor opens to the public on Saturday. Let's take a look at our progress. We're now 52 nautical miles from Mike. All right, chat, it is time for the streamer map. For those of you who have seen our streams the last few weeks, we have a new tool. And actually show and drop a pin on the map where you're located. I see some people have already done it. They're anticipating this. You can type exclamation mark map followed by your location, city, and then optionally countries. So mine gets to be map Vancouver, Canada. And then my pin should show up right around here any second now. There it is. There's me. Right there. In the chat, type exclamation mark map space and then your city, country optionally. We have got, seeing 122 viewers right now. So we should have 122 pins on the map. Come on, folks. Everyone drop your pin. Show your location. We got here. We got Hungary, Lancashire, England, Glasgow, Scotland, Berlin, Germany, Boston, Massachusetts, Austria, Tampere, Finland, Sligo, Ireland. We got Cochin, Malaysia. Well, I'm sorry, I don't speak Finnish. I can't pronounce that one. My apologies. But we got Finland, Providence, Rhode Island. Just site of the last flight from Mexico last year. Kendall, England. San Francisco, California, New Orleans, Louisiana, Hamilton, Ontario, Manchester, UK, Hudsonville, Michigan, Oviedo, Spain, sorry if I pronounced it wrong, Germany, Louisiana, Brazil, Gothenburg, Sweden, Germany, Berlin, Stockholm, Sweden, Chattanooga, USA, the great state of Tennessee, Newark, England, Prague, Czechia, Coppertooth, I can't pronounce that one either. My apologies. Another Swedish viewer. Jacksonville, Florida. London, UK. Question. Does it take Czechia or Czech Republic? So it should take both. Both are considered acceptable. We've got a Mexico City, which is our destination on the flight plan today. Where's the opening ceremonies and first match of the upcoming FIFA World Cup takes place on coming Thursday in Mexico City. The opening ceremony is followed immediately by Mexico playing South Africa, first match. We've got Alberta, Canada, Moscow, Russia, Cabot, Arkansas, Chumutov Republic. Hope I said that correctly. Erding, Germany. Chat, once again, I see we're up to 127 viewers now on my monitor. We only have 44 people have put the location on the map. So let's see some more of those. We've got Prague. You can see when there's a lot that are close together, it bubbles them up. Here's all our North American viewers. Here we have Nels 221 in Mexico City, where we are flying today. Actually, see, we're probably somewhere around here right now, partway between Guadalajara and Mexico. That's the viewers in South America. We got Rennie is in Venezuela. We got Lipstick is in Brazil. Here we have a viewer in Malaysia, and then a lot of you in Europe. So keep on dropping your locations on the map. We'll view that again a little bit later. Let's see an exclamation mark map followed by your location in the chat. Hello to you, Zybok. Hope you're having a great Friday. All right, chat, here's a question. Now, we already asked which country you're supporting in the World Cup. It's a slightly different question. Regardless, irrespective of who you support, who do you think is going to win? Which country do you think is going to be the World Cup champion in 2026? Regardless of who you personally want to win or who you support, who you think actually will win? We got some votes for France and Spain so far. Germany, yeah, I mean these countries are always pretty strong, right? France, of course, lost in the finals last time to Argentina in 2022, and then they won in 2018. It'll be 3 pretty strong finishes in a row for France if they do win this year. We got to vote for Portugal. Nels is saying Argentina, the defending champion, Argentina, repeat as their title. Dr. says FIFA will win. Well, of course they will, but which country? Maybe I hope England finally wins. Well, England did win. And no English person will ever let you forget that, for sure. Cape Verde make it to their first World Cup when they drew Spain. That's a tough match for Cape Verde. How are we doing in progress? 32 nautical miles to go. Go. But for me, it's a pretty fast cruising speed on SR22. Just barely above. You've never known a country called Curacao until they made it to the World Cup. I've been to Curacao, and Curacao is actually one of the Netherlands island in the Caribbean that Dutch territory. It is a country that's part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Aruba and Bonaire are three Dutch islands in the Caribbean. But have you been to Denmark too? Hey, I have a Danish stamp on my passport, so regardless of what you say, I have been to Denmark. So the country was named after the schnapps. Actually, the opposite of that. The liqueur, like famously, it comes in different colors, but the most famous one is blue curacao. It's like a lot of like tropical drinks you might see, or like resort or something. A lot of like blue Hawaii and things like that. No, you haven't. Yes, I have. According to the government, I have. Their opinion is correct. I have a stamp on my passport that says I have been. Once again, we have some really nice scenery here in Mexico. Always love the views we get on Flying Friday, no matter where we are in the world. Always really nice to fly. Always beautiful terrain below us. It's particularly nice. Look at that over there. These rolling hills and mountains covered in green trees. It's really pretty. Cannot wait for the ATR career. Yeah, that is coming in a future update. As you weren't aware, AAU4 launched last week on Friday, including 2024 native version of the ATR. Career mode is not supported yet, but that is coming soon. So appreciate your patience on that one. Not too much longer to wait. Of course, for the ATR. So you're flying the ATR right now. Yeah, I think I saw an ATR actually earlier on the flight. Don't right now. Oh, is this it right here? No, that's an ES-30. I did see an ATR earlier though. Chat, we have already talked a little bit of Mexican food and how, as is tradition, I will be having Mexican food for lunch today. And Chat, what's your favorite Mexican dish? There's so many good options here, right? Chicken fajitas, says New Spawns. Good choice. Is also saying fajitas. Nell says mole de polo. Burrito. You know, I'm kind of shocked no one's going for the most obvious food. I am to be. Yeah, there we go. Birria tacos. That's what I was waiting for. Burritos, huevos rancheros. Yeah, if you like a good rancheros, that's pretty delicious. That's one of my favorites. Phoenix, you got tacos last night. So, I know we like to do rankings on this channel. I think, for me personally anyways, chat, you can agree, disagree, offer your own opinions on this. I think Mexico is one of the top 3 culinary countries in the world. My personal top 3 are Japan, France, and Mexico. I think those 3 countries have the best food. Of course, I like food. As you know, chat, I like food from all different countries. But when we gotta rank them, we gotta make our personal top 3. Those are the ones I would. England. You know, people slag on English cuisine a lot, and some of it is pretty deserved. A lot of British cuisine is pretty bland. couple. A classic English beef roast. That's pretty top tier. And an English breakfast. That's also top tier. And England also does sweet desserts pretty well as well. Give them that too. But yes, a lot of British cuisine is not the most for sure. Whereas France? France was in my top 3, Jamie Flying Eyes. Yeah, France and Mexico are my top 3. Alright, what's chat saying here? We got Italy, Thailand, France, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Thai, China, and grandma stew. It says Canadian food because they invented pizza with pineapple. Oh, we talked about this before. This is actually a little bit of fun history here. The Hawaiian style pizza, aka the ham and pineapple pizza, was invented at a pizzeria in Toronto, in Canada, that was owned by an immigrant from Greece who was living in Toronto. And this Greek immigrant was inspired by Chinese immigrants, also in Toronto. And what they would do is they would take traditional Chinese dishes and then adapt them with local ingredients and for the flavor profiles that other people in Toronto enjoyed eating. So they would take their traditional Chinese food and then modify them for these local palates. And so this Greek chef Toronto was inspired by that, and so he decided to do a ham and pineapple pizza. Because of the pineapple topping, he named it the Hawaiian pizza. Actually takes its inspiration from Western style, Canadian, U.S. Chinese food prepared by Chinese immigrants in the United States and Canada. That was the inspiration for the pineapple pizza. Louisiana food, yeah, Cajun cuisine. If you like some spice, that's pretty good. But I think we're getting pretty close to the first touch and go. Yeah, 6 miles out. Yeah, I will disable my autopilot. There's the runway in sight. Start our descent. Get ready for landing here. Greek food. I actually had Greek food last night. I had Mediterranean food. I don't know if it's explicitly Greek. I might start a conflict here in chat inadvertently. Who names this one? I had a chicken shawarma for dinner last night. So is that Greek? Is that Lebanese? Is that Turkish? Which country names the chicken shawarma as their own? I think Lebanon. Yeah, I know it's all that part of the world though, right? Like the Eastern Mediterranean. There's our runway at Mike. You're joining us late and want to spawn in right now. MMMM. Mike. That is the airport.
Costera 2026.
And
Wind 2655. Clear to land runway
joining the stream partway through.
Morelia Tower, Bayou
You had
115
Korean
miles
barbecue,
west
Korean barbecue
8500
pizza.
for touch and go.
Wow, there's an interesting combination. I love Korean
Clear to
barbecue
land
and
runway
I love
23,
pizza.
Costera
I don't think I've ever had
2026.
Korean barbecue on pizza before. All right, flaps to landing. Go. Turn on to final. All
1
There's actually not too far from me. There is a Korean-owned pizzeria, and they do pizzas inspired by Korean flavors. One of them they have is super. They call it the cheese ball or something. It's like a super cheesy pizza drizzled in hot honey. I thought that's interesting. All right, so chat, or for those of you who are flying with us, your aircraft, did you choose a livery to represent your country's color for the World Cup? Or did you just pick a plane and like I'm in a red and white Cirrus 22 and repping Canada with my plane, and three lines on my shirt, as you can see there. Those are the countries that I support in the World Cup.
Costair 2026, exit runway when able.
Oh, looks like we might have had a belly landing here. Someone forgot to put their gear down. F's in the chat for that. Alright, left takeoff.
Costair 2026.
And
turn next taxiway.
Positive rate. Let's see, yellow, green, and blue ATR. Oh, I'm trying to guess what country that is now. The green and yellow, I would have guessed, is Brazil. Is that the Brazil flag? You're behind me,
Costair
Chinook?
2026. Turn next taxiway.
Yes, Brazil. Okay. All right, chat. Have you ever seen the website? You know, one of the Brazil football players, they're famous for having nicknames. Ever seen the website where you can make your own Brazilian football name? Let's put it in the chat here. Here we go. Here's the website. Brazil
Costair
name. If you played for Brazil, what would your name be?
When able.
Okay, I'll put it in here. First name, CD.
Aurelia Tower, Bayou
Surname,
116,800 to land.
I'm number 10, sure. My Brazilian name would be Cierto. The chat. I'll put a link to this in the chat. You can generate your own Brazilian football name. Post what you get in the chat for your Brazilian nickname. Wait for Brazil.
Costair 2026. Contact ground on 118.5.
Goosebumps, you also got the Cierto. First name Luis.
.5 for Costera 2026.
Anyone else going to post their Brazilian name? I guess that link didn't paste properly. Okay, just copy that whole link and paste it into your browser. Alright, and we are 106 nautical miles. Speed. Super Typhon, you got the name Manasa. Beta, Mexico, Sebastista. That's a great name. I like that one. I hope I pronounced that correctly.